Horn Heating and Air Conditioning a try. Horn Heating and Air Conditioning. HornHVAC.com.
What if you could wake up pain-free so you can leave the stress behind and conquer your day? Serenity Now Massage Therapy. 2 locations in Mooresville and Cornelius. Or book your next massage at serenitynowmassageandwellness.com.
The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the views of WSIC.
Purple Heart Homes presents Putting the Pieces Back Together, a forum for veterans and the community to connect. Here are your hosts, veterans John Gallina and Brad Borders.
Welcome to the most amazing show on the radio today. And if you're listening to us on social media or Facebook, wherever you get your podcast.
The most amazing show on the radio?
On the radio.
On all the
today.
Radio stations?
He said today. Yeah, he
just today. Right now at this particular moment. And there's no
right
question necessary, so don't change the channel. Stay with us.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, we got coming up something. We're going to refresh some things.
That's right.
Yeah, we're going to
It's going to be out there
refresh.
and refresh. Refreshing out there.
It's a resurgence of the refresh.
I see what you did there.
You see what I did there?
But
huh?
our audience doesn't.
Yeah, our audience does. But we got a really awesome and cool guy here on the show today.
And he's got an amazing shirt on.
He
does.
He does have an amazing
I mean, that
shirt.
shirt is,
Yeah.
it's resurging.
It is.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah. It's refreshing.
It's refreshing. I feel better just looking at it. For those of you watching on Facebook, you can see it. It's fantastic.
It is a fantastic shirt.
It's got a zipper and everything.
Yeah.
Is it like is it like a SPF, doesn't allow you to get sunburned through it? Is that one of those? Like a fishing?
That's definitely the plan.
Yeah.
Got to make sure when you're out flying around, you don't take in too many UV rays.
Right.
So.
Well, speaking of flying
It
around.
could be Icarus.
Yeah. Speaking of flying around.
Speaking of flying around.
Yeah.
Who's
That's what
flying
the
around?
show's about today.
Oh, well, the show is about Resurgence PPG with Todd. I'm going to butcher your name.
Do it. Butcher it.
I'm waiting.
Scandrett.
Okay.
Scandrett.
You were right.
Scandrett.
Scandrett.
Scandrett. Hey, man,
Yeah.
that was close. It was close.
Very cool.
That's about as close as you've ever gotten.
Yeah.
It is. Hey, that's. Do I get a gold star or something?
Yes, you do.
Maybe that Stasi shirt.
Wait, you don't get the shirt, but I do have another Resurgence coin.
Oh,
I think you already have
Actually,
one.
I do have that one. So if one of these fellers doesn't, then and I did say fellers in case y'all were wondering.
It's out there and, refreshed.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
Just,
so
you
let's.
just stay over yonder.
John actually talked to the radio station and asked them to seat me as far away from him as possible. Under the old style of seating, I was right beside John, and he didn't really care for that too much. Said I kept blowing out his eardrums or something.
And you're still loud. And I got my volume all the way down. I'm wearing my earmuffs, and
Right.
I can still hear you.
Yeah, I've got my 3M hearing aids.
That's what I was thinking.
On top of the earmuffs.
Now my tinnitus has gotten worse.
Well, I don't know if you got the email, but those things didn't work. The 3M
I did get
ones.
the email. I've gotten
Yeah.
hundreds of emails saying there's a class action
Hey,
lawsuit.
wait. It's settled. It's settled.
Oh, is it
I
settled?
I actually heard
How do I get in on it?
The largest class action lawsuit ever in the history of class action lawsuits. And if you participated, if you served in Iraq or Afghanistan,
I did.
and you were issued the 3M earplugs,
was.
you got a whopping $7.32
Oh,
as your
okay.
reward.
Wow, that's going to get my
wow.
hearing aids. That's
I
awesome.
can't believe that I didn't sign up
You
for
know,
that.
I kept reading
it's-
about this treatment for tinnitus that's exactly $7.34. And so it'll pay for it'll stop the ringing in my ears. Thank you, 3M. I appreciate that
man.
so much.
I mean, I was so
it's
excited. I went and dug in my Foot Locker, and because I was uncertain, I was like, "Did I get issued 3M earplugs?" And sure enough, in my earplug case, they were still there.
Yeah, they had like a lanyard
Yeah,
on them.
yeah.
They would dangle.
Yeah, funny. They even had some earwax on them too. And it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Stuck them
it's the only
straight
thing
in
they were
there.
good for.
Straight in.
It's getting the earwax out.
Getting
Yeah.
earwax
Or
out.
putting it in if you're sharing them.
I thought it was like a way to inject the sand into your ear because that's what typically
Yeah,
happens.
that's a way to do it too.
Yeah, they get covered in the sand. You shove it in your ear, and then it's all gritty in there.
Yeah.
You know what? Our audience doesn't want to care about this.
You never know. They
I
might.
think they'd much rather hear about Resurgence.
That's right. So, Todd, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself first?
Okay. First, thank you so much for having me. It's a great opportunity. I really enjoy being here. I was a 18-year Army veteran. Had a tour in Iraq. Cool. Had one glorious tour in Iraq in which I, surprisingly, I suffered a heart attack.
No kidding.
Which is,
What?
yeah. So for the audience out there, the listening audience, if you could see everybody's faces, they looked at me like, okay, we were expecting an IED, get shot, get blown up, something. We're not expecting heart attacks. So,
No.
One of my soldiers died of a heart attack. In
okay,
Iraq.
yeah. So you just
How
asked.
old were you?
I was 34 at the time.
Okay.
Wow.
34 having
Yeah.
heart
So
attacks.
surprisingly, we had been in country 11 and a half months. We were getting ready to rip out.
Yeah, you were.
And so we were counting down days ready to go home. And so our team was like, hey, we're just going to have a fun day. We're not going to roll out on a mission or anything. And so we were playing ultimate football. And so anybody that's familiar, we were on Fob Prosperity in Baghdad. And so we were right outside of one of Saddam's Republican Guard palaces. And yeah, so it was a little hot, and I was pushing myself a little bit harder, trying to stay up with the 21-year-olds, and it got me.
Wow.
And so,
Did you get to go home earlier than everyone?
so funny
Probably
you asked
stayed
that.
longer.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yes and yes.
Yeah.
So interesting thing. I just had a team reunion with my team leader and a couple buddies on my team, and we were actually talking about this. We were 17 days from leaving country, and so we had already started shipping personal belongings, personal effects home. And because of the heart attack, I was immediately evac to Landstuhl, Germany.
Oh, yeah.
Get to Landstuhl, Germany, and they do a catheterization, but they can't clear the blockage or anything. So they're like, hey, we've got to send you back to Walter Reed. And so I'm following the typical path that evacuees go through coming out of theater. Interestingly, they needed a cardiac team to fly me from Landstuhl back to Walter Reed. So I had to wait in Landstuhl for 3 beautiful days. And it was. No, it was amazing because they're like, hey, you're having a heart attack, but we're going to let you walk around the hospital grounds and you can go outside and do your thing. But don't go too far because you're still like in this cardiac event. So
What?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wait, what?
And so
And wait, there's more.
wait, but wait, there's more. So
What unit were you in? Were you in the Army?
I was. So
Were these real doctors?
He was an officer too.
they were Air Force doctors. So they medevac me from Landstuhl to Walter Reed. I get to Walter Reed on Memorial Day weekend. Okay. I don't know if you guys realize.
It's a fairly big deal.
Oh yeah,
It's a big
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah,
Hospitals
probably.
shut down
They do.
on Memorial Day weekend,
Yeah.
especially
a special
in DC.
military hospital. Yeah.
And so I show up, I'm still in a cardiac event. And they're like, hey, this is great, but guess what? We're not going to have a team here to do anything for you until Tuesday.
So you get to continue your cardiac event.
So I got to continue my cardiac event. Tuesday they show up and they immediately take me in for another catheterization and they clear the blockage that was causing the event. And they're kind of like, hey, you should have died. I'm like, cool. Those
Yeah, you let me wander
yeah.
around Landstuhl.
I mean, we
and
should have been
Walter
looking at
Reed.
you like 3 or 4 days ago. I'd say.
Right. So from. Guess we
Oh,
gotta
hey,
go.
yeah, it
That's our
seems
cue.
like that's our cue. So if you want to hear more about this cardiac event story, we're going to be coming right back to you after these messages. And don't miss all the fun on Facebook, X, and all those other places you watch and listen to us.
Just take you a stroll through Longstool.
Yeah,
Hang on, we'll be right back.
Putting the pieces back together. We'll be back with more of John Gallina and Brad Borders after these messages from 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Well, I don't think any of us are complaining about summer heat and humidity taking a little bit of a hiatus through the upcoming weekend. Still comfortable with that low humidity. We'll have plenty of sunshine and high temperatures up around 80 for this afternoon. Tonight we'll cool it back off into the upper 50s. Outlying spots and farms likely waking up to mid-50s. By the time you get into Friday morning, sunshine and upper 70s round out our work week. And that's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
The WSIC app is available now wherever you get your apps, featuring local deals from great local businesses like Brighter Smiles of Davidson.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Alabama's Austin Bohannon plays a local concert tour beginning Thursday with Langtree Live in Mooresville on May 30th. Event time is 6:30 p.m. with the concert powered by Waves Entertainment beginning at 7. Bohannon then plays Friday on the Birkdale Village stage with the Live Under the Oaks concert series. Back-to-back free music beginning on Thursday at Langtree in Mooresville and then Friday at Birkdale Village in Huntersville. Blankets and chairs are welcome for both Austin Bohannon shows. The Kane Center for the Arts welcomes Philip Hamrick on Friday for his album release celebration.
I haven't heard a sound yet.
His first solo album as an independent artist with The Tunnel Club. Hamrick's personal stories are delivered through vocals and acoustics. Doors open at 7 p.m. with Hamrick's The Tunnel Club album release celebration at 8 p.m. on Friday. For tickets, more information on this show and many other programs, visit kanearts.org. That's CAINarts.org. Mooresville's Festival of Food Trucks has expanded to Broad Street and Main Street, and this Saturday serves up gourmet fare. Bring chairs, bring friends, and delight in over 15 food trucks from around the area. Listen to live music from Billy Jones in the Pocket, stroll the streets, and shop. Mooresville's Festival of Food Trucks begins at 5 p.m. on Saturday. The Cookout Summer Shootout Series is back at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The first practice night is on Tuesday, June 4th, with the 10-week series opening night race on June 10th. Visit charlottemotorspeedway.com for tickets, details, and information. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
Dr. Grant Campbell is a veteran of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Dr. Campbell is proud to be a part of the Purple Heart Homes team and putting the pieces back together Thursday afternoons at 3, Saturdays at 5, and Sunday mornings at 7 on WSIC.
Call now to speak with John Gallina and Brad Borders at 844-STUDIO-4. It's Putting the Pieces Back Together on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
All right, welcome back, and we are here with our friend Todd from Resurgence PPG, and he is telling us about his story about his injury in Iraq. If you call it an injury, a heart attack, and after 3 hospital visits and two what do you call them? Not stents.
So, no, I received a stent at Walter Reed.
Well, what's the procedure where they go in to put the stent in?
Catheterization.
After 2 catheterizations, they tell you should have died, but they were all on vacation, so they're glad you hung around.
They were, yeah. They were happy I was still there to allow them to practice medicine.
Yeah. Now, I will say, Colonel Potter would not have allowed that to happen. I'm just saying. You know, I don't know about these Air Force guys, but
yeah.
You know, he mentioned that he was playing football when this happened. You know, there's some guy back in the unit that still tells the story. I hit this guy one time so hard in Iraq, he had a heart attack.
And you were an officer as well.
I was a captain at the time.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah, we killed our company commander. We
oh gosh, oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You remember
what
that
did you
time?
do?
Hey man, the boss is down.
all right, everybody go home.
No, it was crazy. I was actually I was on a military transition team, so I was the ops officer for an Iraqi battalion.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so it was
a MIT team.
It was a MIT team.
They called them. Yeah, I remember.
Yep, we were MIT. So we were a 14-man team.
Now wait a minute. Did you say you were fit?
I was. I was at the time. I was very fit. I was actually in probably the best shape of my life, especially after being in country for 11 and a half months.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Except for the heart.
Yeah. Well, except for the heart attack.
Yeah. Other than that, I was fine.
Other than that, I was perfect. Well,
I just want to clarify.
100 pounds over my head, but the heart wasn't so good.
I was suffering from hearing loss. Thank you, 3M.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
$7.95.
They are not a sponsor of the show, by the way.
Yeah.
So the crazy thing was being on the MIT team. We were very officer heavy, and what I mean by that, we're 14 guys, and we
Not
had
necessarily heavy officers.
not
but
ne-
officer
no.
heavy.
Correct.
I
we
see
were
in the
officer
National
heavy.
Guard, they're always heavy officers.
Right. Yeah. No. So we had 2 lieutenant colonels.
Mm-hmm.
We had 2 majors, and then we had a handful of captains, and then we had a couple senior NCOs. And then,
Y'all overcomplicated a lot
oh
of stuff.
gosh. Well, the thing is, we were primary staff for the Iraqi battalion. We were there holding the Iraqi battalion commander's hand, telling him, hey, right now is probably a good time for you to release your QRF to go respond to the little engagement that's going on. And, this is how we need to plan the operation. And you should probably not send your entire battalion home on leave at the same time. That's not good for op tempo. And so we were very...
Wait. They did that?
Oh,
They sent their whole battalion home on leave at one time?
they would try. It's an interesting conversation because we as Americans, we always think of things relative to our experience.
Yeah, sure.
They did not have a banking system in place that would support their soldiers being paid regularly. And so they would get paid all at the same time. They have to get that money back home to their families somehow, some way. They didn't have the benefit of PayPal and
the real coincidence, though, was that IEDs went up at the same time, and attacks went up, increased at the same time. And
It's almost like somebody to train them.
They were just carrying cash home to mama or their wife or whatever.
that's exactly what would
Yeah,
happen.
okay.
But to your point, they would get on a bus, and all of a sudden that bus would get hit by an IED and kill 15 guys.
Yeah.
So it was interesting being attached or assigned to an Iraqi battalion like that. It was an interesting experience, but also because of how our team was task organized, I was a 34-year-old captain. I was also the 50 cal gunner.
Yeah, of course.
And so that was absolutely fantastic. Rolling back onto American FOBs, and you've got this little PFC or specialist at the gate doing entry control.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the first truck rolls up, and it's got a 240 Bravo on the truck, and there's a captain in the gunner's hatch.
Yeah.
And
Hey, sir, how's it going?
That little specialist was like, what in the world's going on?
Yeah.
And then the next truck rolls up, and it's got a 50 cal, and there's a captain in the gunners. This specialist's mind is just being blown because
that never happens.
we had all captains as gunners.
Yeah.
And so it was just it was a crazy experience, and it was interesting living with the Iraqi military, trying to train them and fight with them all at the same time.
A bit of a culture gap.
It was. Oh yeah. But I learned a lot from it, and I definitely wouldn't have traded that experience for anything else. It was definitely the pinnacle of my military career.
Yeah. What year was that?
It was 2006, 2007.
Okay. Yeah.
So
surge time.
So, point of the surge. As the surge was announced, we were initially assigned to Al-Kisik, which was an Iraqi base up in northern Iraq, outside of Tal Afar.
I know where it is.
And so we were at Kisik, and our Iraqi battalion was the first Iraqi battalion to make a major deployment within their country because their military wasn't task organized like that.
Right.
And so from a Iraqi military historical perspective, our battalion movement was like one of their largest deployments in Iraqi military history. And so it was significant, and it was actually part of the surge. We were the first Iraqi battalion back into Baghdad as part of the surge. And it was one of the conditions of the surge that U.S. forces would not push in troops into Baghdad, into Fallujah, unless the Iraqis were also willing to push in troops as well.
Wow.
I had to take an emergency bathroom break at Al-Kisik off the back of a Chinook one time.
Did you?
I did. It was incredible.
Man, that's
I was looking at the crew team. I was like, I gotta go, man. He was like, Port John's right over there. And I ran off the helicopter. I said, don't leave without me.
Yep. So you popped a squat right next to the division headquarters.
I
right
did.
there on Al-Kisik.
I did. Yeah.
That's nice. I'm
They told me
amazed.
never come back. Don't ever come back.
So you're actually the first person I've ever met that actually knew where Al-Kisik was and has been to Al-Kisik.
Yep.
So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I spent a lot of days up there.
So.
There and Tal Afar. So
Interesting. So help us with making the connection. You come home, you're Walter Reed, you get your heart fixed, you're then released. Still active duty?
Let's not say we get my heart fixed.
Okay.
Because the thing you have to realize is from the initiation of my cardiac event until they cleared the blockage was 8 days. And so it was 100% blockage. It should have killed me. It typically kills people within 30 minutes. And so there was a lot of issues. So, it happened while I was on active duty. The military owns me. I get to go through rehab, do that kind of thing. So I'm held on active duty at Walter Reed, and then they send me to community-based healthcare because I was mobilized as a reservist. So they send me back home to do my rehab. And I'm like, you know what? I'm still a soldier. This is still who I am. This is still me. I fight the medical board. At the time, again, because we're in the middle of the global war on terrorism, I am approved to stay in, even with my cardiac conditions. They're like, hey, you're a staff guy anyway. You can continue to be a staff guy. So I was able to stay in, and I ended up going up to Fort Dix for an assignment. I was down at Fort Jackson. Right. Yeah. Worst assignment of my life. Was down at Fort Jackson for another assignment. And then I ended up having another heart attack while doing PT.
No kidding.
Oh, man.
And at Fort Jackson?
Down at Fort Jackson.
No kidding.
Yeah, I was actually out running with Battalion Sergeant Major. And,
No kidding.
So I was Battalion XO at the time.
Yeah.
And
hey, sir, get up. What's wrong with you?
Get off my grass! What are you doing laying on my grass?
Well,
where is your PT belt?
Well, the thing that was great was the Sergeant Major was old and broken. Yeah. And so that's why I was running with him, because I'm like fairly young and broken.
My favorite guy to run with,
man.
Too.
He was like my battle buddy. So me and Sergeant Major, we were tight, and it didn't present as a normal heart attack, but I ended up having another heart attack. And at that point, the Army's like, dude, this is 2 of them. Yeah, you're done. Yeah. And it precipitated some other things.
Same artery.
So the second heart attack was. And a heart attack is just a situation where the heart is put in a stressful situation that it does not like. And so there doesn't have to be a blockage. Typically, that's what presents them, and that's what causes them. But because I had the previous heart attack and there was so much damage to the heart tissue, the heart was already aggravated. And I just went out and aggravated it more by running with the broken Sergeant Major. And so caused a second heart attack. I ended up getting reassigned to the Warrior Transition Battalion at Fort Bragg to go through the medical retirement process. And
wow. So. You want to talk about some stories? I can hear that Sergeant Major telling us stories about how he outrun that young buck XO.
Hey, to my credit, I finished PT with him.
Oh, no kidding.
I finished PT, and it was after PT, I'd gone to my battalion commander. I was like, hey, boss, I'm tired. I need to go take a nap. I'll be back in. And he sent the S3 to my apartment and was like, hey, sir, the boss man says you got to go to the hospital because he knows your history.
Yeah.
All new meaning to Iron Man right there.
Yeah, no kidding.
What a story. Well, when we come back here just in a few moments, we want to hear more about Resurgence PPG and how you got started there and all the great things that you guys are doing. And we'll share some of how we met you with the Wild Bunch and our good friend Frank Reynolds and all the fun that they have there.
Absolutely.
That's a great organization too, and doing some amazing things to support veterans. So you are listening to us here with Todd from Resurgence PPG. And Todd, for our listeners real quick, what's your website?
ResurgencePPG.com.
Too easy. So make sure you go check them out and give them a follow on their social media. We will be right back.
More Putting the Pieces Back Together with John Gallina and Brad Borders coming up on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, I don't think any of us are complaining.
Fort Jackson when
Okay.
you were in Iraq.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I went to Iraq a couple years later. So super interesting.
All right. There we
Who
go.
was the camera on when you did the big booming voice? Think it was John? I'm going to have to rewind that
That'll
to see
be a
what his
good clip
reaction
for
was.
You're doing great, Ben.
Yeah, for all of you on the social media out there, we've got Ben Daniels in here subbing for Joe, and he's doing a fantastic job. I'm not sure if he knows where all the buttons are, but he knows where most of them are, and that's what's important.
As long as he doesn't hit the eject button.
He knows where my buttons are, and
There he is.
Yeah. So while we're here in the social media break, tell us a little bit, Todd. You know, you got these coins here. You got 3 different coins. I know you've met Corey Collins and his wife Paula, longtime veteran recipient of Purple Heart Homes, longtime employees and supporters of the organization. So you met them. You met Victoria. You met Garrett, I believe, Garrett Garland, Victoria and Garrett board members.
And the problem is I'm terrible with names.
Oh, yeah.
But I
Sure.
do remember Corey, but if people were in front of me,
Corey's hard to forget.
Right, yeah.
Just what a great
yeah.
guy. Yeah, what a great guy. So tell us a little bit about Wild Bunch. How'd you get connected with Wild Bunch?
So, interesting question. I have a friend of mine that is a lawyer, and he knew just through business relations and business dealings with Frankie and some of the other folks at Wild Bunch, Jeff Earnhardt and whatnot. He knew them, and he got into working as a range safety officer during their events. And so he worked with them a couple times, and he was like, "Hey, Todd, why don't you come out and help be an RO?" Because, you know, I'm a firearms instructor, concealed carry instructor, and, you know, all the NRA certifications and everything. I can RO. I've done this. I've trained Iraqis to shoot. Why not? And so went out there, and I was actually a volunteer on the range, helping RO the shooting range part of the Wild Bunch events for a couple years. And then Mark was like, "Hey, why don't we talk to Frank about helping support Resurgence as well?" And so we brought it up to Frank, and he was like, "Oh yeah, absolutely." So that was kind of how it came about. And
Very cool.
So,
When we come back, we'll talk about a funny story about shooting over there on the range. Not this past year, but okay. I thought we were closer. So 2 events ago, so it had been 2023, we were out there for the Wild Bunch annual shoot, and they have a pistol out there with a silencer on it. You remember this? And the guy goes to shoot the pistol, and he shoots, and the silencer comes off and goes into the lake. And they immediately dive into the lake looking for the silencer. I mean,
No
almost
kidding.
immediately. Like,
wow.
yeah. And which they found.
Wow.
They found it.
They
amazing.
found the silencer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
Unfortunately.
probably would have dove in there too. Man, that's a
I mean,
pricey
trying to
piece of
explain
equipment.
how you don't have it is an issue all in itself, much less what you paid for it and what you had to go through to get it.
Right.
Yeah, because the whole excuse, it fell in the lake.
Well, why did it fall in the lake?
Yeah.
There's probably a lot of silencers in lakes.
Yeah,
Probably.
yeah.
Yeah.
There
This one
probably
wasn't
is.
intentional.
I mean, we don't
I
really
got
like talking to
lots
each
of
other.
fun
We only do it on
stories
the
about Wild Bunch.
Thanks, Ben.
And the folks who make M&Ms can't wait for fall. They're putting out new pumpkin pie flavored M&Ms this summer. Tom Busby, Bloomberg Radio.
Now, more Putting the Pieces Back Together with John Gallina and Brad Borders on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Hey, welcome back to Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes. We're really glad you're here. We got Todd from Resurgence PPG. Is that
Yes,
right?
sir.
Did I say that right?
I noticed neither one of you two say his last name. Is there a reason for that?
Well, it's because
Scandrett. How's
Because
that?
John just said it.
Yeah,
We
okay,
said it.
Okay,
We said it.
It's Todd, our friend Todd.
I mean, every time we don't say our friend Devin, well, I don't know how often we say that, but we
You
don't always say
generally-
Devin Alexander.
That's true. That's true.
It's true. It's true.
I thought maybe there was another reason.
We normally say Devil Dog Devin.
There's a lot of new names too.
Most of those can't be said on the air.
This is true.
And some of them are probably the name of your punk band anyways.
They are all the name of my punk band in 1987. So, but we're really glad you guys are listening today. And Todd, thank you for being here. We've been discussing his Army career that involved a couple of heart attacks and a deployment to Iraq, and I'm sure, quite interesting mobilization to Relaxin' Jackson with the basic training unit. And I know because we share common ground there. So I'll tell everybody, as a chaplain at basic training, it was like youth ministry with guns. Right. And but yeah, welcome back, everybody. Todd, great to have you here. And we were sort of getting into what in the world is Resurgence, and tell us a little bit about how all of that developed, if you don't mind.
So Resurgence PPG is a nonprofit that I founded back in 2017, and it was a effort to get disabled veterans involved in some form of aviation.
Mm-hmm.
And so kind of how it came about, as I was medically retired at 18 years, you know, I felt the sting that the military was like, hey, you're not good enough for us anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, so I was trying to reinvent myself. What is it that I want to become when I grow up? And, you know, I was having a rough time with it. And I think there are a lot of veterans that when they're trying to make that transition from the military world into the civilian world, it's a tough transition, you know. And I tell people all the time, the difficulty is from the time you enlist, you are told that you are a machine. You are the tip of the spear. You are that beacon of freedom and democracy protecting the world. And you can do anything as part of this organization.
Absolutely.
And, you know, it's ingrained in our service members. And
then they go, give up your CAT card.
Exactly.
And you go out the base, you go, I can't get back on there.
And that's it. It's like, hey, you know, okay, give up your CAT card, and you're no longer that beacon of hope. You're not that protector of democracy anymore. And
it's almost like you were a beacon of hope, and now
it's exactly that. And it's like, you know, so it's like, what am I? What do I stand for? What is my meaning?
Yeah.
And so for me, I was struggling. I was in a dark place. I was having problems, and you know, like a lot of other folks, I spent a lot of time watching YouTube videos. And all of a sudden, I came across this crazy video of a kid that had this crazy flying contraption, and he flew it up to 15,000 feet. And I'm like, wait, this guy has a backpack motor. It's like a steel chainsaw motor.
Yeah, like an Echo.
Yeah.
And a lawn chair, right?
And a lawn chair.
Yeah, two-cycle.
And it's exactly right. And he flew this thing up to 15,000 feet. I'm like, that's incredible. So, man, I went down that rabbit hole hard.
Nice.
And so as I'm like watching these videos and I'm just impressed, all of a sudden I start looking in, you know, what are they? You know, how are they regulated? What do I need to do to get in?
Question.
Yes, sir.
How are they regulated?
They're regulated under Federal Aviation Part 103, an ultralight.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful that they're regulated as an ultralight, because it means you don't specifically need formal training. You don't need a license.
All this makes me feel better
and
about myself and flying.
But the big thing, and why I started Resurgence, is you don't need a medical certificate.
Wow.
And that is the huge obstacle for so many veterans coming out that are like, hey, I'm still an adrenaline junkie. I still, you know, I jumped out of airplanes. I've been shot at. I've been blown up. I live that fast-paced kind of life, but I want to do something different. Let's go fly.
Now, let me just clarify something. Is it a risk to be piloting an aircraft and have a heart attack?
Yes.
Okay. I was just, trying to put 2 and 2 together. How many heart attacks have you had?
I've had 2.
Oh, okay.
It reminds me of that.
That vehicle will take him all the way to the scene of the crash.
Right. Yeah.
So no, yeah. And the funny thing about this is your name is Todd. Do you remember the super fans, Bears super fans on SNL? And Chris Farley played a guy named Todd on this particular skit, and every episode he would have a heart attack.
Oh,
Yeah.
what?
I was like, don't worry, it's about Todd. He's having another heart attack, right?
Right, yeah.
He would give him,
Hey,
Chest palpitations.
Just a couple
compression. I'm good. Give me another bratwurst.
That must be where Paul gets it from. Yeah, every time Paul's heart hurts, he just pounds his chest a little bit. He's like,
I'm fine. I said restart it. Yeah,
Oh
it's
my
like
gosh.
a refresh button.
Yeah, the refresh button.
Yeah,
you could
there
all
you
free. That's where it is, right there in the chest.
hit the old ticker in the chest.
But this is the opposite of the stressful situations that he's had. This is freeing, right?
Right. Yeah. So
it absolutely is.
you went down the rabbit hole. You saw a dude on YouTube. You were like, I'd like to do that. And then I'm sure you did your research on where do I get one?
Right.
How much do they cost?
Right.
What do I got to do? Tell me about when you did all that and then your first flight. I mean, what was that like?
So, as I was going down that rabbit hole and doing the research, I realized how invigorating it was just to be in that process. Mm-hmm. I had a mission again. I had a purpose, and it was very personal. And I realized it was benefiting me that I was focused on something, and that I could
Because you
set a
knew
goal.
from the beginning that you wanted to start a charity to do this,
Not
or just the
not
flying.
Not initially. I knew I wanted to do the flying because I wanted to be a pilot in the Army, but I'm actually too tall. So when I had my flight physical, it had a big stamp that I was too tall, which is interesting. I'm also too tall to be a flight attendant for American Airlines. So
Did you put that application in?
so
You got that going for you.
so I've got that.
Yeah.
But so as I'm going through this process and I'm learning and trying to figure out where am I going with this goal and this desire to fly, I realized, man, if it's helping me and it's motivating me this much, it's got to be able to help somebody else out. And so that's when I was like, bifurcated my idea. And it's like, hey, I want to do this for me, but I also want to help other people do it as well.
Oh man.
And that's when I decided to start the nonprofit, because there was not a mechanism in place that I could find that would meet that need of getting disabled veterans involved in flying ultralights. There are programs out there to help them get a private pilot's license, but again, they need to be able to pass a medical certificate.
Right.
So PTSD is a big discriminator.
No kidding.
So you can't
for getting a pilot's license.
you can't pass a medical if you have PTSD.
Really?
And so that was a big thing.
Dang it.
And so and so that was kind of my motivation to starting Resurgence. And so I got in contact with what was the largest and most successful training school in the country. And I explained my desire to them, and they're like, wow, this is really interesting. Let's see how it goes. And 6 years later, we're sponsoring candidates and getting guys flying. And
That is super
So
cool.
how many? We got just about 30 seconds before our break. How many veterans have come through your program?
So again, we're a real small nonprofit. It's whenever I can beg for enough money. We've been able to sponsor right at 30 candidates so far that we've fully trained.
That's wonderful.
But I still have, another 65 on the wait list right now.
Okay.
Wow.
Wow, that is fantastic.
Yeah, we know about wait lists.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do, chap. We will be right back after these messages from our sponsor. Stay tuned and learn how you can get involved and support Resurgence PPG and how we are connected through Purple Heart Homes with Resurgence PPG. Check out their website in the meantime, resurgencepppg.com.
There's more Putting the Pieces Back Together with John Gallina and Brad Borders on the way from 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, I don't think any of us are complaining.
I had
Back on.
We're live.
Yeah.
served at third group at Bragg for a long time, and one of my Green Berets down there, he had some trouble, in life, and had a wonderfully supportive wife. Ended up getting out. He wasn't a bad guy. He just was experiencing some stuff from his combat deployments and had a psychological issue that was going on related to PTS. And so, but when he got out, one of the things that he found was flying one of these things.
Yep.
And he sent me a video of his first flight. He took off in his backyard, right?
Yep.
They had a little micro farm, and his wife was British, and I could hear her in the background. Oh no!
I bet that was hilarious.
But yeah, man, and he went a long way. I mean, he went whew, and he was gone, man, and came back. I mean, you take off, you're on your feet, right? I mean,
So
you're not in a thing.
Yeah, you either foot launch or there are trikes or quads.
Oh, right.
That are available, and so we've sponsored paraplegic. We've sponsored a couple amputees.
You ever had a wreck?
I'm sorry.
Have you wrecked yours?
I have.
Ben?
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Caller.
We have a caller.
Got 3, 4.
Who are these callers?
I don't know.
So real quick, while we're still on our break here, they'll put them on hold if they're for us. In the process of Wild Bunch and one of their founders passing, one of the fun and interesting stories that I share with people that I think is just really different and cool. And I've heard of a number of people doing different things in their burial and their passing, but they had their buddy wanted to be cremated. His ashes put in a pumpkin, filled the rest of the way up with tannerite, and then for everybody to shoot at him and spread his ashes across the property via an exploding pumpkin.
I've heard this story before.
That was quite the ceremony to be at.
Wow. Yeah. So
It took several of them several shots to actually hit the pumpkin.
Yes.
Because it's a pumpkin full of tannerite, so you can hit the pumpkin but not hit the tannerite.
That's
Is that
right.
the idea?
Right.
Yeah.
You got to get that good center mass shot.
Oh man, yeah.
And I think most of them were officers, but
Probably.
Reflect, get inspired, and become a part of their ever-growing family. Located in Richard's Coffee Shop, 165 North Main Street, Mooresville.
It's Putting the Pieces Back Together with John Gallina and Brad Borders on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Welcome back to Putting the Pieces Back Together. You're here with your hosts, John Gallina, Brad Borders, and of course me, Devil Dog Devin. And we are talking about Resurgence PPG with Todd. Not going to try to say his last name.
Do it.
Scandrett.
Okay, we'll give you a gold star for effort.
Okay. What letter grade do we get?
That was a B.
That was a B. Hey,
I think he got an A for that little jig he did in the chair before he said it.
He's psyching himself up.
I don't know what you call that.
Gosh, I hope the camera wasn't on me.
Nervous fidgeting.
Nervous fidgeting. Oh, I've always got plenty of nervous fidgeting going on. You should see what I'm doing with my feet under the table. So, Todd, you were telling us about how you learned about the motor PP. What's it actually called?
It's a powered paraglider or a paramotor.
Paramotor. So the reason I'm having such difficulty is Brad and I were debating the terms. What was that, yesterday?
No, today.
Today. Yeah, timeline's off.
You slept since then.
That's right. Yeah, probably. Lunchtime, And so how does this differ from regular paragliding?
We have a motor.
You just have a motor. That's it.
So
You've strapped a lawnmower to your back and you're going at
An actual lawnmower with the blade facing backwards.
So, I mean, there are other intricacies we get into the technical aspects. The wings are slightly different, but for general purposes, a paraglider is launched off the side of a mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Paramotors are launched on flat land with a motor on your back, and you run into the sky.
Run into the Sky. That
Yeah,
sounds
that was
great.
the name of my punk band.
There you go.
1983.
I was waiting for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, run into the sky.
I had the cassette.
Yeah, right. Thank you, Todd.
Todd, I didn't realize you were that old. I
have rewound many cassette with number 2 pencils.
With a pencil.
Yeah, even spliced
Oh
a few.
man! So you went from watching this on YouTube videos, figuring out this is something you wanted to do, and then you wanted to bring this to other veterans.
Correct.
What did that journey look like? How does that start?
I joke with a lot of my buddies now. A lot of my close paramotor friends were also my instructors when I started flying, and we always joke that I was building the airplane in flight. I was doing it completely wrong. If you want to start a nonprofit, do not talk to me. I did it. So
you succeeded in spite of yourself.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
I did. I couldn't get out of my own way, and it worked. But the biggest challenge was I was trying to create this idea, and I would try to solicit funds and donations, and I would go to different people and be like, hey, listen, this is what I want to do. I want to get disabled vets flying these crazy contraptions.
Mm-hmm.
It's an amazing sport, has an amazing community. I think it'd be great for veterans. And, once I get past explaining what a paramotor is and kind of get people thinking, okay, yeah, they would say, so what's it like? What's it like to actually run into the sky and fly? And I hadn't flown at that point.
Oh, wow.
I don't know.
Oh, right. That response is it. It's
what?
It's the, wait, you don't know. So you are absolutely crazy. You want us to give you money. You want us to support your
And
cause.
you've never done it.
And you've never done it. And so
That'd be like somebody coming to us and go, hey, can you build me a ramp? Yeah, I've never done that before, but we're going to do that
I was
today.
thinking more along the lines that it'd be like asking somebody to give you money so that you could make a veteran go up and fly and then crash, right? I mean, you kind of got to have the experience to help make sure they stay up and land safely.
Right. And so what I realized from that was there was going to have to be
I probably didn't explain that right, but you got it.
I got it.
It broke my brain for like a half second.
But I realized for it to work, I would have to demonstrate the proof of concept. And so there was significant financial investment on my part at the very beginning.
Yeah, what does a setup for one person cost?
And so we typically don't provide the gear. I say typically, and I'll get to it. So what we focus on is the training piece of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we will sponsor their training.
Okay.
And typically we don't do the training ourselves. We will find a school, hopefully a school that's geographically close to them, and we will pay for their tuition. And then while they're going through the course, if they have to travel to the school, we will go ahead and provide the lodging. We will pay them a travel cost from their home of record to the school, and then we'll also pay them a per diem during that period. So it is a zero cost experience for them. And when I say during the training, we're talking a 10 to 14 day boot camp style training period. And so for 2 weeks, they're getting this training experience on us. And so, when you start figuring out lodging costs and travel costs, I mean, it's a chunk of money. It's an investment for us.
It's a little different from teaching somebody how to play pickleball.
Correct. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like you come on out of the court and you just play right now.
Right.
It's not like you're going to invite me over to your house and go, okay, Brad, here's my rig. Just strap in. You'll be fine.
I just envision
Brad,
this
you
as
would
kind of
be
like
fine.
airborne training where you're going to do a 5-mile run every day, and you got to pack, you got to run up a mountain. And
Is there a Rocky montage in there somewhere?
Probably.
Got to get to the top of the steps. And
what's this training regiment look like, and what's a day of training look like?
So the first few days of training are what we consider ground handling, teaching you how to control the wing itself and how to fly the wing, and we call it kiting. And so you get connected into the wing, you get hooked into the harness, and all you do is you bring the wing up above your head, and you're standing there on the ground, and you're flying the wing, and you're
not in the air.
You're not in the air.
It's just
you're just controlling
inflated
it
above you.
Correct.
And you're toggling.
Are you
Exactly.
anchored?
No.
Okay.
No. And so you don't want to be anchored. You want that flexibility and that freedom of movement. because flying these wings and kiting, it's a dance. And so what we see a lot with veterans, you know, for the most part, we come from a very aggressive, very strong kind of environment. And flying these wings, it's very finesse oriented. And we try to tell people it's a dance.
It's like a waltz.
And it is. And so, like, I came from a skydiving background. I had, 400 jumps before I got into paramotors. And I had a real hard time with toggle control. Because skydiving, you can crank on those toggles pretty hard. And, you get the response you want, but you're putting some muscle into it. With these, you just step in the direction you want to go and get the wing to move.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
The toggle control is very, very light, so it's very much about finesse, and it's that waltz, it's that easy dance. And so you do that for the first couple days, and once you get to a point where you can handle the wing, then we'll start doing motor simulations. Put the motor on your back, let you feel what it's like to run up, feel how much thrust it actually generates, and you'll start doing taxi practice, where you'll pull the wing up, you'll have the motor on your back, but it won't be running, and you start to move with the wing and the motor just so you feel that.
So as we've got just less than 2 minutes left here before the end of the show, a couple of quick questions. If a veteran wants to get engaged and they're interested in this, or their family member or friends are interested, think their veteran would be a good outlet for them, how do they get in touch with you?
Go to resurgenceppg.com, and one of the menu drop downs is the nominations page. Go ahead and fill out a nomination form, and I'll see what we can do.
Tammy's over on her phone right now, putting my name in.
As we have known you for a number of years, I love hearing the explanation and the definition, all this stuff. We often at events don't get an opportunity to go this in depth. Really appreciate what you're doing. Thank you for your service. I'd love to have you out at some of our events. I know we got Take That Hill coming up here in October. Be a great opportunity to have you up and display that, where our listening audience can actually come see one of these paramotors and maybe be able to get you up in the air and do a flyby as Brad's riding his bike.
Fly over the cyclist. That would be awesome.
What do you call that when you fly by the tower? That's a flyby. You can do a flyby.
Negative
Brad
Ghost Rider. The pattern is full.
No, I'd love to do it.
Oh man, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Thank you so much for being on the show. And, Purple Heart Homes partners with so many different organizations, and whether it's through events or whether it's through projects. And we've always been proud to be out at the Wild Bunch with you guys. And I know they all love you and just think the world of you. I'm not sure. Do you do tandem flights?
We do.
Is that what you call it, where you take somebody else with you?
Do you need us to hook that up? You doing a tandem flight with Todd here?
Not happening.
So if we can raise, what's the dollar figure on getting John to do a tandem flight? And I have just been fired on the radio, folks.
So it just crossed my mind to start a fundraiser to see if I couldn't throw you off the building.
Oh wow, that's for
Which
enough
one
money.
do you think would raise money faster?
We could do a competition. We'll have one of those blow up things, and you can knock me off.
I got my checkbook.
Oh man. Well, if you would like to be part of either one of these fundraisers, you should reach us at radio@phhusa.org. You can email us if you got any show ideas or you want to participate in this crazy fundraiser that we're probably not going to actually have. But you've been listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together.
You've been listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, brought to you by Purple Heart Homes. Please consider making a donation to this worthwhile cause